Hi guys, this is Sadak from build.prop, and in this video, we'll show you how to make the system partition RW or read and write on your Android phone. So by default, the system partition is only readable. You cannot write or make any changes to any file on the system partition. So let me show you what I mean. Currently my phone is rooted via Magisk, and if I use a file manager app and access the root partition, so as you could see currently I could easily access the root partition and I could view all the files, but I will not be able to make any changes to any file whatsoever. So for instance, let me try and do a rename of this file. Let me add one more n and tap on OK. But as you could see, I cannot rename the file. Or for instance, let's take a real life example. So I had recently made a guide on how you could add 90 Hz refresh rate on any Xiaomi phone. For that, I have to access this file. So let's take this as a benchmark and I will show you the before and after. So as of now, if I try to access this file by going to the system partition, then it's product, then etc, device feature and munch.xml. Munch is my phone code name. It will be different for your phone. So if I now launch the app, you could see I could easily view all the content of this app and I could search for it as well, but I cannot add or remove any file. So for instance, I have to add a 90 Hz over here. So let me show you, this is the command. I only need to add this line. So for instance, let's copy and paste this line over here. Let me show you. So while you could add the line, but when I try to save the file, it will not be saved. If I now tap on save, as you could see, unable to copy the file from this, so it's not able to carry out the operation. It will not be able to save the file because the system is only readable. You cannot write any file to this. Likewise, you cannot change the boot animation as well. So to carry out all this task, you will have to make the system RW or read and write. For that, I will show you how this could be achieved. But before that, please take a backup of all the data on your phone because the data will be wiped off, and then let's get started. As of now, I have only tried out this on a Xiaomi phone. I cannot comment on other Android phone, but if your phone has a super partition, then it should work on every Android phone. Moreover, there exist two methods. One is the recovery method and the other one is the fastboot method. I'll highly recommend you to opt for the fastboot method. So in this video, I'll show you how to get this job done using the fastboot method. So with that said, let's get started. First and foremost, you have to download the firmware which is currently installed onto your phone. You could verify the same from the settings menu. So go to the settings menu, about phone, and as you could see, my phone is on the 14.0.23.5.15. So this is the currently installed firmware on my phone, of which I've got the firmware as well. This will be required for two tasks. First off, you will have to root your phone. That's quite obvious. For rooting, you will need the boot.img of your phone, so which you could get from here. And at the end, we will get a modified super.img, which you will have to flash along with the rest of the firmware files as well. So with that said, download the firmware which is currently installed onto your phone and then take a backup of all the data on your phone. Once that is done, first off, you have to root your phone via Magisk. So I made a separate guide on the same. If you have a custom recovery, you could directly flash the Magisk APK or zip file via recovery, or else you will have to then use the boot.img file, patch it via Magisk, and then flash it via Fastboot command. So carry out this task. I will explain everything in my guide, and make sure to root your phone. Once you have rooted the phone, let's now move ahead to next step. Next step, you have to download this module. So get hold of this module and transfer the module onto your phone. Once you have got this module, we will now flash this module onto our phone. So launch the Magisk app, then go to modules, then tap on install from storage, and now let's select this module. So it's the RO2RW module, then tap on OK. The module will now be flashed. It will take only a few seconds. Once done, tap on reboot and our phone will now reboot to the OS. Do keep in mind that the module does not have any UI of its own. So we will take the help of Termux, is a app which gives us the platform to execute commands. So the entire task will be carried out via command. You don't have to do much, just input the numbers corresponding to the command. So I'll show you that. Let's just wait for the phone to boot up. And once our phone boot up, you will have to install the app from Play Store. So let me show you. This is the app, Termux app. Please install it from Play Store. There are also similar app, but I recommend this app only. So install the Termux app from Play Store. Let me do that as well. In my case, I already installed the app. And once you have installed the app, simply launch it. and now you have to type in SU, which stands for super user. This will give you the magic prompt. So type in SU and hit enter. You will get a magic prompt. Tap on grant, and with this it has now obtained root. Once you have done so, you will now have to initiate the module or start the module. So type in the module name, which is RO2RW, and hit enter. The module is now loaded, and it will now first and foremost make sure to follow the exact instruction which is given in my guide. So first off, it will ask you to make install. So for that, select the first option, make install, and hit the enter button. Next up, you will now have to choose how much you want to expand the size of the system partition. It depends on your own. So let's proceed with the fourth option. You could choose any option of your own. So let me choose fourth and hit enter. And next up, it's now asking for the maximum. So once you have made the choice, you just have to confirm it. So hit the 1 key and hit enter. It will now make the decision of your own. Once that is done, it will now ask you to install the disable force encryption. As of now, let's skip it. So choose 1 and hit enter. Now we have skipped this. It will now carry out this task and take a few seconds. So next up, it will now ask you to remove a few stuff. So let's wait for a few seconds. The process will take up to around 30 seconds at the very max. So let's just wait, and you could keep a track of all the steps from my guide and make sure to do exactly as I have done. So as you could see, currently the process is going on and it will take a few more seconds. So let's just wait for the time frame, and then we'll proceed ahead with the next step. So it's copying a few partition into the super partition. It will create a new super partition. So let's just wait for the time frame, and it's now asking you to that the screen is paused. So the script has been paused. So if your phone undergoes a sleep or gets locked, then you just have to hit the enter key once to unlock your phone and wait for the partition to resume. So once that is done, it's now asking us to remove something. So as of now, we don't want to remove anything. So type in 2 and hit the enter key, and then it will bring up the next option. So it will now ask us to make a backup of the original super partition. It's extremely important to have a backup. So type in yes and hit enter. Now it's asking whether you want a fastboot backup or the recovery backup. It's highly recommended you take a fastboot backup. So again, type in 1 and hit enter, and it will now make a super stock backup of the super IMD partition in the fastboot format. So let's just wait for the time frame. I am recommending fastboot because even if something goes wrong with the phone, you could easily access the fastboot mode. In case of software or boot loop as well, you could access the fastboot mode, but you might not be able to access the PWRP recovery in such cases. So it's always recommended to use the fastboot method. Moreover, on some Android phone, there might not be any custom recovery as such. So for them, they have to use the fastboot method. So now it's asking us to create a new super IMG file, which will be RW. As you could see, it will be rewritable and readable as well. So for this also, we have to choose the fastboot file. So select 1 and hit enter. It's now making the new RW file, which will make our system partition RW. So we will now flash the super IMG file. So let's just wait. Always make sure to choose the same option for instance, the backup we have chosen for as the fastboot backup, and also we are making the new backup of the super as fastboot itself. So make sure to choose the same for both the format, and it's always recommended to choose the fastboot option. So it's currently making a backup. So it's currently making the new RW partition, which will now flash onto our phone. So let's just wait for a few seconds for the backup to be completed, and once the backup is done, you could access the backup from your phone itself, both the backup as well as the newly made this. So as of now, it's asking us to force disable verification. So in that, you will have to choose 1. Just a minute, let me re-verify once. So it's now asking us to force disable. So in that case, just a minute. So as of now, I recommend you to press the 1 key to force disable and then hit enter. And as you could see, the process has now been completed. So just to re-verify all the process, first and foremost, it will ask you to, so it starts from here. You will first and foremost have to type in the module name. So it will then load the module and then ask you to make a new select one and choose make install, and then choose the size. In my case, I've chosen the fourth option, maximum expansion 4. Once that is done, it will now confirm. So type in 1 and hit enter. Once that is done, it will install. It will ask you to install the DFE. As of now, select 1 and choose skip. Then next up, it will create a backup. It will first ask you to remove something. Select no. So for that, type in 2 and hit enter. After that, it will ask you to make a backup of the original super partition. So type in 1 and hit enter. Regarding the super partition type, you have to choose Fastboot. So type in 1 and hit enter. Once that is done, it will now ask you to make the format of the output RW super IMG. So it's the read and write super IMG file which we have to flash onto our phone. For that, once again, type in 1 for Fastboot and hit enter. So it will now make a new super partition RW format. And once that is done, finally it will ask if you want to force disable verification and verity. So type in 1 force disable and hit enter. You will now get a complete message. And with this, we have got both the stock super IMG as well as the RW super IMG. So let's verify the same. So open the file manager app of your choice and now go to the internal storage. And from here, you should now see the RO2RW underscore super folder. Let me focus it. So go to that folder. And now, as of now, as you could see, it's the super backup, which is the backup of the stock super IMG, and the super RW sparse Fastboot, which is the new RW super format, which we have to flash onto our phone. So as of now, please transfer both this file onto the platform tools folder onto your PC. So this is the platform tools folder. I have given a link of that in my guide. Refer to my guide and start them onto your PC. Now transfer both the backup as well as the new RW super format. Once you have got both this file, we will now have to flash the RW super file onto our phone. But simply flashing the RW file using the, just a minute, simply if you use the command of fastboot flash super.img, if you simply just flash the super img file, it might not work. I have tried this and my phone was in a boot loop. So you will have to flash this new super RW file along with the entire firmware. So you will also have to flash all the other firmware files with this super RW file. So let's carry out this task. As of now, I am using the Xiaomi EU ROM. But first, let me discuss the case of the Xiaomi stock ROM. So in case of stock ROM, you will have to download the Fastboot ROM. And in the Fastboot ROM, you will see a file something like this. It might be initially in the TGZip format. So use 7-zip to extract it. You will get a tar file. Again, use 7-zip to extract it and you will get this folder. Then within this folder, you have to go to the images folder and you will see a file named super. So simply delete this super file from here, and now you will have to copy this super RW file, copy this file and paste it inside the images folder and then rename it to the super file. So let me show you what I mean. So simply as of now, remove this file from here and then copy the super RW file from here and paste it inside here and then rename it to super, so that the complete name becomes super.img. Once that is done, you could then flash this file. I will show you the flashing steps as well. So next up, now if you are using a Xiaomi based ROM, for example, if you are using a Xiaomi EU ROM, so currently I am using a EU ROM, the flashing steps are somewhat similar. This is the flash all file in my case, but in the case of super file, as you could see here, I am getting quite a few super IMG files. So what you could do, if in your case there are around 8-9 super IMG files, then instead of removing all the super files, what you could do is simply go back, and first and foremost you have to again copy this super new RW file and paste it in the folder as well. So paste it inside the images folder. So let me paste it here, and while the paste is going on, what you could do is you could also simply right click on the flash all file. So right click on flash all and select edit with Notepad++. You can install this app from online web. So it's the best text editor app. So go there, and as of now, these are the stock super img file which we don't want to flash. Rather, we want to flash the super img file which we have copied from here. So just to repeat, this is the RW file which we want to flash. But as of now, the Xiaomi ROM is flashing the super img stock file which is present inside the ROM. As you could see, these are the files. So you could take two approaches. Either remove all the super img file and then make a change there, or simply directly make a change to his flash all file. So open his flash all file, and then what you have to do is simply remove all these command from here, and then under the case of super.img, let's just rename the file to the super.img, and as of now we'll only have to flash one super.img file, and I will then rename my file to super.img and then hit the Ctrl S shortcut keys. So with this, it will now only flash the super.img file, which will be my file which I provided, and it will now ignore all the other files. So it will now ignore all the super 1, 2, 3, 4 files. It will ignore all these files from here till here, and it will only flash this file. So let's just wait for the transfer to get complete, and then I'll rename this file to simply super, so as to make a uniformity with the file name. Since I have supplied the file name of super.img, so I will rename the file as super.img over here as well. So simply let me rename the file to super, and the complete names become super.img. So this was the case with the Xiaomi EU-ROM. If you are using the stock global or Indian version, then what you have to do is simply go to images folder, remove the stock super partition, and then simply paste the super partition that we have got RW after carrying out the task on our phone. Finally, please make sure to rename the file to super and paste the file here. This is because we are renaming the file to super, because in case of Xiaomi, in the flash file, let me show you, in the flash all file, it will only flash the file which is named as super.img and nothing else. So either you could do the rename here, or simply, as you could see from here, Fastboot flash super, it's only flashing the super.img file. So make sure to replace the file and rename it to super.img so that it will flash it. Now what you have to do, once you have made the change, what you have to do is boot your phone to Fastboot mode and then flash the firmware. So let's now boot our phone to Fastboot mode. For that, go to the settings menu on your phone. So let me access the settings menu from here. You have to then go to my device and tap on MIUI version 7 times. This will enable developer option. Then go back, again go back, then go to additional settings, go to developer option and enable the toggle next to USB debugging. Likewise, make sure that the bootloader is unlocked, which will already be the case since your phone is rooted. So anyways, once you have enabled USB debugging, now go to platform tools folder and type in CMD in the address bar and hit enter. This will launch the command prompt window inside platform tools folder. Now type in ADB reboot bootloader and your phone will boot to the Fastboot mode. It will take just a few seconds. So let's just wait for the time frame, and then we'll proceed ahead with the flashing. So once it's booted to the Fastboot mode, you will now then have to type in the Fastboot devices command and make sure that you are getting a serial ID. If you're not getting any ID, then you'll have to install Fastboot drivers. I made a guide on the same. You can refer to my guide or the video and make sure to install the Fastboot drivers. Once you're getting the Fastboot drivers, you could now flash the file. So in case of the stock Xiaomi file, simply you could use the flash all file. Do note that it will wipe off all the data from your phone, and this wipe is compulsory. You cannot escape this wipe. So let me show you. So it will erase and wipe off all the data from your phone. So even the metadata and the partitions, it will remove all those files. So, and this wipe is compulsory. So please don't skip this wipe. Similar is the case with the Xiaomi EU-ROM as well. So since I made the changes, so once it's in the Fastboot mode, we could now flash the file. So simply launch the flash all file, and if it asks for the format, you have to do a format. So the formatting will now start. It will either do the format in the starting or it will do the formatting in the end. That's not an issue, and it will also flash the rest of the file. As I have told you before, you will not be able to flash simply the super.img file because that might cause an issue. If you want to take a risk, you are free to take a risk and try it. But in my case, if I simply flash the super.img file, then it's stuck in a boot loop, and I then had to reflash the Fastboot ROM to unbrick my phone. So that is why it's only recommended to flash the super.img file along with the entire firmware, and also the super.img file is the largest of all the files. So the flashing of that will take up around 5 to 6 minutes. Moreover, in case of the Xiaomi stock ROM, since there was only one super.img file, so it will only flash one file, but in case of EU-ROM, it might break up the super partition into smaller 10-11 partition. That's not a cause of concern. You just have to leave your phone in this state for the flashing to complete, and then we'll proceed ahead with the next step. So let's just wait for a few more minutes. It could take up to around 5 minutes. After the super has been flashed, it will flash a couple of more partition, and then your phone will automatically boot to the OS. So let's just wait for the flashing to complete, and then we will be back. So guys, as you could see, all the files have now been flashed, and my phone should now boot to the OS. So it might take a few seconds for the phone to boot to the OS. Do keep in mind that the first boot up will take up some additional minutes. That's completely normal and nothing to worry about. From the subsequent time, it will not take that much longer. And our phone is also going to reset. So we will now have to set up our phone from scratch. So if in your case, your phone is currently unable to boot, so please don't worry. Your first course of action should be to do a factory reset. For doing a factory reset, all you have to do is simply use the fastboot space -w and hit enter. This will erase all the data from your phone. Once that happens, type in fastboot reboot and check if you are able to, your phone should now boot to the OS or not. If it's still not booting, then what you could do is simply flash the stock firmware back again and then retry with the steps. You might have missed something in between, so please try out once again. If your phone is stuck in a soft brick or a boot loop state, you could use the hardware key combination to boot to fastboot mode, and once in the fastboot mode, you could then simply flash the factory image, or in other words the fastboot image, via the flash all command. So just use the flash all file and your phone will be back to the stock. Just make sure to replace the super RW file with the stock RW file, which we have removed. If you don't have the super IMG file in the stock firmware, then it's not an issue. You could simply download the entire firmware from online as well and then reflash it onto your firmware. Just make sure that when you're going to stock, you should replace the super RW file with the stock RW file. And by stock RW, you could also use the stock RW which the module has made, but I will recommend you to use the stock RW super file which is there inside the factory image or the fastboot ROM itself. So the best approach, if you want to go back to stock, or if your phone is currently in a boot loop, then please download the ROM online from the web and then reflash it via the flash all command. Anyways, with that said, let me quickly activate my phone and then I will be back. So let me skip the rest of the initial setup and quickly access the OS. Just a minute. Once I'm done with this, I will show you, and then in the end I will also show you some rectification options if in case your phone is stuck in a boot loop or a soft brick state. I'll once again discuss that with you, so please let me give a few moments. And first and foremost, I will verify the results. So for that, I'll show you by copy pasting any file in the system partition, and also how you could make any changes to this file, the codename file. I'll also show you that as well. So let's just wait, and once you have made the system partition RW, you could then easily make any changes to the build.prop file on your phone as well, which hold all the goodies on your phone. So you could also modify that. So as of now, I am skipping the entire process, and let me now boot to the OS. It's only for the first time users. From the subsequent time, it will not take that much longer. So simply skip all these stuffs and let me take you to the OS. Okay, so setup is now complete, and let's now start the process. So as you might notice, as of now, the phone is no longer rooted because our phone has undergone a factory reset and the flashing was done from scratch. So that's not an issue. You could just root your phone using the same method which you had used earlier. So in my case, I have rooted my phone using the TWRP recovery. So I'll quickly flash the recovery and root my phone once again. So it will only take a few seconds. So just a minute, let me enable the file transfer and let me transfer the Magisk APK file onto my phone. It might only take a few seconds. If you have a custom recovery, then you could easily simply transfer the Magisk APK file onto your phone and then root your phone. On the other hand, if your phone does not have a custom recovery, then you will have to extract the boot IMG file from the stock firmware which is currently installed onto your phone, and then you could do a patching via Magisk and then flash it via Fastboot Commands. I will explain all that in my guide. I will show you that guide as well. But currently, let's re-enable USB debugging onto our phone. So tap on MIUI version 7 times, then go back, go to additional settings, then go to developer option and enable the toggle next to USB debugging. You will get a prompt. Tap on I'm aware of all the risk, wait for 10 seconds, and then you have to check mark OK. So let's just wait for the time frame. Now tap on OK, and as of now the ROM I'm using already has PWRP flash. So let me quickly boot it to the recovery. So ADB reboot recovery and hit enter, and your phone should now boot to the recovery. In your case, if you haven't flashed the recovery, then you could use the ADB reboot boot to the command to boot your phone to fastboot mode. Then download the TWRP recovery and place it inside the platform tools folder. Then you just have to use the fastboot boot twrp.img command to boot your phone to the recovery mode, and from there you can flash the Magis file. So now just go to install, select the Magis APK and perform right step to flash it, and it will now flash the Magis file, and it will take only a few seconds. So let's just wait for the time frame, and once that is done you will be notified of the same. So with this we have just obtained root. So let's just wait for a few more seconds, and then we will proceed ahead with the next step. So it's now flashing the new boot img file. So if in your case you don't have a recovery, then you have to extract the boot img file from the stock firmware and then do a patching via Magis, and then you could easily flash it via fastboot command. So for flashing it via fastboot command, you could use the you will have to use the fastboot boot command and then the Magis patch file. So the patch boot.img file you could use. Please don't use the fastboot flash boot command, that might cause an issue. Never use the flash boot command, only use the boot command. And once your phone gets booted to the OS, you could then use the direct install method of Magis to obtain permanent root. I will explain everything on my routing guide. You can refer to my guide to carry out this task. So as of now, I'll just flash the Magis in the backend. So we will now have to flash the Magis app as well. So launch the file manager app and then just install the Magis app. As you can see, we will only get the update option because the Magis is installed in the backend. So just hit the update or install button, and the Magis will now be installed in the front end as well. So tap on launch, and you will now get a prompt. So tap on OK, then select direct install and tap on let's go. And with this, our phone will now be permanently rooted via Magis. So let's just wait for a few seconds for the task to get complete. And once that's happened, you will then have to tap on the reboot button at the bottom right of your screen. So it's now currently flashing the new boot img file, which will take up to around 8 to 10 seconds at the very max. Once done, tap on reboot and our phone will now reboot to the rooted OS. So now we need again a file manager app which supports root. So once again, I'll be using the same file manager app, which is the solid file manager app. So you could install the app from Play Store. So let me use that app and then I will show you the results. So I might already be having the APK. Just a minute. You could install the app from Play Store as well if you want, but I might be having the APK of that file. So let me transfer. So this is the APK file. So let me expand the notification section and select USB for charging and then choose file transfer. Your phone will now be visible on your PC. So select, let me choose it from here and now transfer the APK file. It's the file manager app which you could install from Play Store as well. Since I have the APK, I'm simply installing it from here itself. So let's now install the APK file and hit install. This file manager app supports root. That is why I'm using it. So now launch the app, and now once that is done, grant it the access of files, then go back, then tap on the hamburger menu at the top left and you should now see root. So tap on root, then tap on grant, and let's now verify if you have got system RW or not. For that, let's simply try to copy paste any random file. Sorry, just a minute, let me access the root partition and let's try and do a rename. So its name as ASIC, let's add a S and tap OK. So as you could see, the renaming is now complete, and once again I could remove the S and tap on OK. So with this, as you could see, I could rename every and any file. Let me now show you the major task which I was showing you earlier. So in the beginning, I was unable to make changes to this file, or rather save changes, but now I could easily do so. So let me show you. If I go to the system partition, system, then product partition, and this is the product. So just a minute. Let me verify the product file as well. Sorry, I'm in the data, so I have to go to the system partition. Sorry for that. So let me go to the system partition, and now I have to access the product partition, and from here we have to access the etc, device feature, munch.xml and sc text editor from here. So earlier as well I was able to make changes, but I was not able to save any changes, but now I will be able to save the changes as well. So let me first show you the FPS. As of now, in my phone will only support 60 and 120. If I go to custom, as you could see, it's only 60 and 120, and now I will add the 90 hertz as well, because my system partition is now RW, so I could simply make the changes and save them as well. So let me add it and place it in the same alignment as the rest of the two. Once that is done, let's now change the value to 90, and now I will show you that I could easily save these changes as well. So if I now tap on the save icon, you could see the file is now saved and the changes have now been saved. You could go back and it will now remain saved. So once that is done, you will now have to restart your phone for the changes to take place. Whatever changes you make in the system partition, it's recommended that you restart your phone. So let me now carry out a restart, and upon the restart, I should now have got the 90 hertz refresh rate as well. So I will show you that as well. In the meantime, let's just wait for a few seconds and then I could proceed ahead. So apart from this, any and every file which is there in the system partition, you could now make changes. You could now remove that file, delete the file, rename it, copy and paste it to any other directory. And for instance, apart from adding the FPS level, you could also now make changes to the boot animation. You could customize the boot animation as well if you want. And apart from that, you could also change the build prop on your phone. So first off, let me open the file manager app, and if I go there and let me access that directory, so it was the system, and then under the system we have the product, then etc, device feature, munch xml. If I now open this file, you could see that the FPS of 90 should be saved here. So as you could see, we now have the 90 hertz FPS over here, and let's now check out the results. So let's go to the settings menu and let me search for the refresh rate. And refresh rate, if I go here and under refresh rate, you could see we could now choose the 90 hertz as well. So I have added the 90 hertz and my phone will now be on the 90 hertz. Let me show you from the developer option as well. If I enable show refresh rate, you could see that it's the 90 hertz at the top left. You could verify from here as well. It's the 90 hertz refresh rate from here. Let me now close it and go back, and you could verify. As you could see, it's now running on the 90 hertz. So guys, on that note, I round off this video. If you have any queries, do let me know in the comment section. And if at any point in time your phone ends up in a boot loop or a soft break state, first off, try doing a factory reset. For the factory reset, you could use the fastboot -w command and then use the fastboot reboot, and your phone should now boot to the OS. If that does not happen, then you could either flash the backup super IMG along with the entire firmware, or if that does not work, then download the entire Fastboot ROM for your phone, and then you could flash the entire Fastboot ROM. Make sure to replace the super IMG from the RW to the stock ROM if you are using the current firmware. If you have done a download of the firmware from the online, then it will be completely stock. So in that case, you just have to flash the file using the flash all file. So let me show you. You just have to use the flash all and it will flash the stock firmware, and then your phone will be back to stock, and then you could once again try out this guide. So guys, on that note, I round off this video. If you have any queries, do let me know in the comment section. And guys, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks. Thanks a lot for watching.